Greetings, everyone. Elrin Mark here, with Wendell as my companion. Today we're going to discuss the Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. But before that, let's have some brief introduction of Aristotle's life. Aristotle lived and worked in Athens for the majority of his career. He is regarded as the greatest philosopher of all time and, along with Plato, one of the two greatest thinkers of antiquity. He first studied under Plato, and for a while, he served as Alexander the Great's instructor. As the father of Western logic, Aristotle was the first to develop a formal system for reasoning. Nicomachean Ethics is one of the most famous works of Aristotle and was probably written later, in his 50s and 60s, when he was head of the Lyceum, the school he founded in Athens. Different thinkers and schools of thought contributed to the development of ethical philosophy in ancient Greece. From subjective relativism, it transitioned to more systematic, objective studies of the nature of virtue, the good life, and moral values. The writings of historical authors like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle continue to shape how we view morality and virtue and are relevant in today's ethical debates. Let us proceed to the overview of Nicomachean Ethics. Nicomachean Ethics is a treatise that explores the nature of ethics and the question of how to live a virtuous and fulfilling life. Aristotle's approach to ethics is known as virtue ethics, and this work is his systematic exploration of the concept of virtue and its role in human life. The result is a book that is split into 10 books, each of which covers a distinct topic related to ethics, human character, and living a decent life. Here is a quick summary of the organization and content of each book. In the first book, Aristotle introduces the subject of ethics and discusses the nature of the good life, arguing that the highest good is happiness, eudaimonia. The second book explores the concept of moral virtue, distinguishing between moral virtues and intellectual virtues. Aristotle emphasizes the importance of habituation in developing moral virtues. The books 3 to 5 delve into specific moral virtues, such as courage, temperance, and generosity. Aristotle discusses the mean between excess and deficiency as a key principle in defining virtues. And books 6 to 9 address the concept of intellectual virtue and practical wisdom, phronesis. Aristotle explores the role of reason in ethical decision-making and the relationship between moral and intellectual virtues. This final book deals with the concept of pleasure and its relationship to the good life. Aristotle discusses various forms of pleasure and their place in the ethical framework. So the primary purpose of Nicomachean Ethics is to provide a comprehensive account of ethics and to guide individuals in living a virtuous and flourishing life. Aristotle seeks to answer questions about what it means to be a good person, what virtues are, how they are developed, and how they contribute to human happiness. Overall, Nicomachean Ethics is a complex work that philosophers, ethicists, and scholars still study and discuss today for its insights on morality, virtue, and the good life. Let us move on to friendship and ethics. Aristotle's view on friendship is a fundamental aspect of his ethical philosophy, as outlined in his work Nicomachean Ethics. He believed that friendship is not only important but also essential to a flourishing and virtuous life. Aristotle distinguishes between 3 types of friendship: friendships of utility, friendships of pleasure, and virtuous or friendships of the good. Friendships of utility are based on mutual benefit. People come together because they can derive something practical or advantageous from the relationship. Although Aristotle admits the prevalence of these friendships, he considers them to be the weakest and most fleeting. They are frequently fleeting because the friendship may cease once the benefit or advantage vanishes. Even if they might not be profoundly fulfilling, Aristotle accepts the value of these partnerships in society since they meet practical needs. The next one is friendships of pleasure. It is rooted in the enjoyment and shared activities or interests between individuals. People in these friendships find pleasure in each other's company, shared hobbies, or entertainment. These relationships are still rather shallow in Aristotle's eyes, but they are more permanent than utility relationships. They frequently revolve around transient pleasures and can end if the source of pleasure does. Last, but not the least, virtuous or friendships of the good. These friendships are characterized by trust, loyalty, and a deep emotional connection. Friends in such relationships seek the well-being of the other person for the sake of the other person, not for any personal gain. Aristotle places a lot of emphasis on virtuous relationships since he views them as the pinnacle of friendship. These relationships are built on a foundation of respect, appreciation, and a shared dedication to moral behavior. People who have virtuous connections really care about one another and are dedicated to supporting one another in achieving moral perfection and eudaimonia, which is frequently translated as flourishing or living a good life. Virtuous relationships are not only necessary for a fulfilling existence, but also integral to it, according to Aristotle. He claimed that without these friendships, it is impossible to have true happiness, eudaimonia. Aristotle's ethics, often referred to as virtue ethics, emphasizes the development of virtuous character traits and the pursuit of eudaimonia, which is often translated as flourishing or living a fulfilled life. Aristotle's ethical framework can be applied to various moral dilemmas in real life. Here are some examples. The first one is courage in the face of danger. Imagine a firefighter facing a burning building, unsure if there are people inside. Applying Aristotle's ethics, the firefighter should exhibit courage, which is a virtue. They should not act recklessly, but bravely, weighing the risks and benefits while striving to save lives and property. Second, honesty in business. A businessperson faces a dilemma of whether to be honest about a product's flaws or to deceive customers for short-term profit. Aristotle's ethics would advocate for honesty as a virtue. Acting honestly and transparently in business dealings helps build a reputation for trustworthiness and contributes to long-term flourishing. The third one is generosity and charity. When a person encounters someone in need, like a homeless individual on the street, Aristotle's ethics encourages practicing generosity and charity. Acts of kindness and helping others can lead to a sense of fulfillment and personal well-being, aligning with the concept of eudaimonia. Lastly, balancing self-care and altruism. A healthcare worker during a pandemic faces the moral dilemma of balancing their duty to care for patients and the need to protect their own health. Aristotle's ethics suggests finding a virtuous mean between self-care and altruism, ensuring they provide care to the best of their ability while not neglecting their own well-being. Let us proceed in conclusion. Aristotle explores the essence of morality, virtue, and the pursuit of happiness, eudaimonia, in his philosophical work Nicomachean Ethics. It places a strong emphasis on the formation of moral character, the value of reason in forming moral judgments, and the contribution that friendship and education may make to living a morally fulfilled life. Aristotle's research of multiple virtues and notion of the mean offer a thorough framework for ethical conduct. And that's all for today's discussion. Thank you everyone for your attention and for giving your time for this discussion. God bless everyone.